Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're on the West Coast, good morning. And if you're on the East Coast, good afternoon. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to chat with us. My name's Shauna. I'm the Director of Product and Client Strategy over at Evasys. And we sell Lou software, which some of you are probably already live on and running your business on, and some of you are here because you're interested in what it can do for you. Today, we are talking all things metrics. Something I'm really passionate about is numbers. Numbers drive conversation. Numbers really help you to run a successful business, and the proof's in the pudding, right? So we're going to talk all about numbers today, and it's going to be a really fun conversation. Before we get started, at the very bottom of your screen, there are little dots that make up a box. If you click on that button, there will be something that says Q&A. If you have any questions through today's conversation, please type those in the box. We'll pause halfway through, and then we'll spend some time at the end going through those questions. Nick will be our panelist today. So if I call on Nick, he'll jump in and he'll announce those questions for us. So please, these conversations really are only as valuable as your questions are. So if you have questions, please type them in there. If you're wondering it, I guarantee you someone else is too. So let's jump in. I really want to start today's conversation by talking about why numbers are important. I think we all know as business owners that numbers are important to the business. We should be looking at numbers. Of course we should. But it goes a layer deeper than that in my mind. Numbers are only impactful if you can get buy-in from your team on them. If you are spewing numbers out at an all-company meeting and they don't mean anything to the people that are listening, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to do anything. So as this conversation kind of progresses today, we're really going to talk about how you get people to take ownership over their numbers. And it creates a sense of pride and accountability when people own their numbers. I just want you to take a moment, close your eyes, and think back, way back to when we were teenagers. We had bedrooms, that's all we had. Think about how you kept that bedroom versus how you keep your home today, right? In some cases, there's very few of you that have just been that person from the beginning. Maybe it's perfect across the board, but chances are your bedroom was kept very differently than your home is today. You take a lot of pride in what you own. You take a lot of pride in your home. And it's the same thing with people's numbers. It's just proven. If you own something, if you take ownership and accountability over it, you're going to work a lot harder to make traction and just have goodness in those areas. So that's why metrics are important. I'd love to talk about who should track what. So I have it kind of broken up into departments or personnel. So I'm going to give you guys 3 metrics. 3, that is it. There are so many more you could track, but we're going to keep it really simple today. 3 metrics that each department lead should manage and should look at weekly, whether that's you pulling those numbers yourself or having your team pull those numbers for themselves. It varies department to department, depending. So I would love to start with the sales manager or the person that's in charge of the sales department and organization. The first number or metric that you should track is your open orders. And that might seem questionable to you. Why would I track my open orders and not just my sales as a whole? I say your open orders because this is where your salespeople can really drive revenue for the company. Accrual accounting, which is what Lou runs on, tells us that you only recognize the revenue once that thing's delivered, once it's invoiced and in somebody's backyard. So if it's sitting in your warehouse and it's just on your open order report, it's not doing you any good. The salesperson has sold it, they have done their job, but it needs to move. So your salespeople really should be taking ownership and tracking their open orders to make sure that that unit is really doing what it needs to do, which is getting in someone's backyard or in their home. The second number that you should track weekly are your leads. How many leads have we gotten? What are the sources, right? And don't overcomplicate this, you guys. I see it all the time where people just get real complicated and then they don't know where to look for what because it's SEO in the world of marketing is just complex. And if you want to get really detailed, hire a marketing firm that can help you. We can give you some contacts for those people. But track your leads and track it in the most simplest form. Internet leads and walk-in leads. What were they? How many did we get? And what is your closing ratio is really what you're trying to get out of those numbers. I believe that salespeople should track their closing ratio. Every single week, they should know it always. So how many leads did you get this week? How many closed? That's what we want to know. Industry standards we could talk about, but if you're truly tracking all of your leads across the board, combining internet and walk-in leads, industry standard tells us we should be sitting at least 25%. So it just gives you a barometer. If salespeople are sitting less than that, it just tells us something. And we don't get into the minutia of, well, that was a quality this and this wasn't quality. Just look at it as a whole and track, because even if the information's not perfect or completely accurate, the story remains the same week over week, right? If we're looking at the wrong numbers, we're looking at the same wrong numbers week over week over week. So we're just looking for a trend. We're looking for a story. We're not looking for perfection. The third metric I believe a sales manager should track is invoices by salesperson. And I believe this is something that the salesperson themselves should track, because if you are a company that pays commission on invoiced sales, I know a lot of you that are on the line do this. This is a direct representation of that salesperson's paycheck. And really, that's why we all work. I don't think any of us are in the world of volunteering for our pool, hot tub, and hearth companies. I think we all are working for a paycheck and to make money to provide for our families. So invoiced by salesperson is a representation of their paycheck. It's really easy to coach to the fact that nobody wants to make less money this year than they did last year, right? Everybody wants to be making more money year over year. And so if you're tracking those invoices by salesperson, you can see it. You don't have to go back and look at your pay stubs and try to guess where you're making money. It's all right there. So that's the sales manager. Moving on to the service manager. Service can really be ambiguous sometimes, and there's so many moving parts that it can feel hard to track your metrics. So the three metrics that I believe every service manager should track are your service jobs scheduled this week, and just track that week over week. How many scheduled jobs do we have this week? And this really helps you to determine if you're telling the right story, right? We all feel really busy. Life is busy, period. But those numbers will tell the truth. If we are really busy or if we're spinning our wheels on things that aren't beneficial to the business. So service job scheduled this week over last week, and just track that week over week. The other metric is one and dones. One and dones I'm really passionate about because it's something you can strive for. It's something that you can put a number to and put a goal on, right? As a company, we want to have 90% one and dones a week. You can't set that goal until you have a baseline. So if it's something you have never tracked, start tracking it. We're in a great time right now where we're sitting in September and we have the next 3 months to start tracking our numbers and to get a baseline so that January 1, you can come out and you can say, this is what we've done for the last 3 months. We have an average, we have a baseline, and now we can set a goal that we really can strive for this year. So one and dones, and what that means is how many times am I going out and I'm going to a job and I'm completing that job. If you are running on Lou today, work order outcomes is a report that you can pull to grab that information. It's really helpful. And then if you want an advanced metric to track, I really love billable ratio. Billable ratio tells us how often is my technician billing versus how much time are they spending driving, idling, or in the shop. Shop time, drive time, idle time. Those are the things we want to minimize. We want to maximize the time that they are helping clients in their backyards, fixing things, doing the work that they love to do. So that is billable ratio, and we'll have more to come on that stat in Lou in the very near future. Next person that I would love to talk about, who I really think is kind of the heart of the business, is your inventory manager and delivery coordinator. Sometimes this person is the same, sometimes they span multiple people in your organization. But the 3 stats I think are really important for this person. First one is your stale inventory. You can take the best-selling SKUs and flip it on its head and look at what's not moving. And I think we all know, like, of course, we should look at stale inventory every once in a while. We do sometimes, it's what I hear from clients a lot. But it really needs to be looked at regularly. And here's why. Your inventory was paid for, or even bigger deal, you're financing it. So that is cash that is tied up in your warehouse. It's cash that's physically sitting on the floor in your warehouse. And if it's not moving, you have to get rid of it to get cash to buy things that will drive revenue. And I know I hear a lot like, well, we're going to sell it, or we paid for it. We don't want to lose money on it. You are losing money on it if it's been sitting there for a really long time. The older things get, the less people want them. So maybe it's posting it on eBay. Maybe it's posting it on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe it's reaching out to people in the community that you know. Maybe it's pulling a report of people who have bought that same thing in the past and seeing if they want to buy another one at a discounted rate, right? There's so many ways we can move inventory. But if you don't know what that inventory is, it gets worse and worse as the days go by. So let's get rid of the old inventory. Let's free up cash so that we can go buy inventory that's really going to move the needle and really increase revenue for the company. And then the third one that I think is really important to look at is your second one is your reorder alerts. Reorder alerts are important, and it's simple. Do you have what your customers want when they walk in? If you don't, you're going to lose them potentially for that sale. And potentially you're going to lose them to Amazon, and they're never going to come back because they had to go buy that one item elsewhere. So reorder alerts is a really easy one. It's built into Lou. We've thought through the whole process. Track your reorder alerts and look at that weekly. Make sure that you're purchasing what your customers want. The third one now, open order report. Again, it is, I know we already talked a lot about open orders for the sales manager. This topic spans the whole business, but it really is making sure that the salespeople and sales leader and delivery and inventory manager are working so closely together, because the salesperson's job is really to get the customer excited about taking that, to overcome the objections. The salesperson has their relationship, but that warehouse and inventory person is responsible for pushing that out the door, right? Do we have the right things staged with that unit? Do we have everything we need so that when we go out to that home, we're going to finish it? We're going to have a one and done job that day. Are they chatting with the customers regularly, overcoming objections? Do we have the crane if we need a crane? Like, those people have to work so closely together. So making sure that you're looking through your open orders regularly, at least weekly, and you know every single one that's on there and why it's still on there is so, so important. So I know I said that same thing twice, but it's really important across the whole organization. And then lastly is your accountant or your accounting department. The beauty with accounting is that they're in numbers all day, every day. So we don't have to spend too much time talking about it, because it's literally their entire job is to look at the numbers and analyze the numbers. But the top 3 reports your accounting team should be looking at is your general ledger, your accounts payable, and your accounts receivable aging. General ledger obviously is just telling you the story of the business, and there's so much that can be gleaned from that. Your accounts payable, you want to be in good standing with everybody, right? You want to be the company that's known for, oh yeah, these guys pay on time every month. They're on it. We're never worried about them. You want to have good relationships. And then your accounts receivable aging, of course, who owes you money? You got to go get that money. And if you're not looking at it regularly, you definitely are not known as the company who takes things seriously and who is serious about collecting that money. So your accounts receivable aging ideally is really low, because you have payment method on file for everybody and you have a business process around that. ACH is a really powerful tool for this, because cards can't change. People don't change bank accounts very often, right? So if you use ACH as a company, it's built into Lou, you're paying less than 1%, and there's no maintenance or upkeep on keeping those active. And then for cards on file, we have a really great tool with our EFS team. It's called Insure Bill. And basically in the background, it's searching for new card expiration dates so that you don't have to call those people when their cards decline and say, hey, do you have a new expiration date? It's the end of summer right now. People are on vacation. Life is busy, right? So those people could be sitting on your AR aging for a long time simply because their card's expired. That's a silly thing when there's tools built into the software to avoid that. That was a lot. That's what I have to say about each department, each kind of person and what they should have ownership over and why. Now I want to go into really the how. Those numbers are great. We understand why we need numbers, why we need to track them, who needs to track them, what they need to track, why, right? And how. How are we going to get people to buy in and to take ownership? I think it's really important that as a business, you identify how you share these numbers out and who you share them with. There's a time and a place for everything. The second thing that I strongly believe is that talking about something once in a company meeting or even once a week is not going to get people bought into it. It should be in every conversation. So let's go back to the sales manager topic, right? And closing ratio. That should be weaved into everything. Somebody calls and says, hey, I have this customer who needs this special deal on this thing. Obviously the customer's not in front of them, but they're chatting. You're chatting with one of your salespeople. Cool. What's your closing ratio month to date, right? How many leads have you got? Same thing on sales calls. Same thing when you walk into a showroom. Same thing on company meetings. Like, it just needs to be woven into the conversation on a regular basis so that people expect that they need to know their numbers, right? We are a company, we are a metrics driven company. People at this company, at this ABC pool shop, we know our numbers. If you don't ingrain it in the culture of the company, people aren't naturally going to want to seek those things out. We have to make it a part of the culture. And the last thing I'll say is where you shine a light, things grow. So don't make this really complicated. If you are a company who you've always wanted to track numbers, you've always wanted to be that metrics driven company, but you guys do not do that today, please don't come out of the gate with 50 metrics to track. It is overwhelming. People don't understand why. And honestly, I gave you guys 3 today, but maybe you start with 1. Right? Maybe you've never looked at any of these numbers before and it feels really overwhelming. Start with 1, master it for the rest of the year. And then January 1st, you add 1 or 2 more, right? It will grow naturally, but it's the most important thing is simplifying it, making it easy for people to find, and just ingraining it in the culture by talking about it all the time, and proving that you are who you say you are. So that is what I have to say about that. I will also say that if you are not on Lou today and you want to learn about these metrics, you want to learn about how Lou tracks them, you can request a demo. There's a QR code on the screen. Just scan that QR code and somebody from our sales organization will reach out to you and give you a guided one-on-one demo, right? What numbers do you want to track? Which numbers do you track? How does that kind of flow through into Lou? And then if you are one of our cherished Lou clients today and you'd love to understand how to pull reporting and look at numbers in Lou, you can reach out to our support team, support@evassist.com, and someone will be in touch with you, whether it be from our support team or our enablement or relationship team. We have a ton of people on that side of the business who really are here to just support you and help make sure that you're using the software to the fullest extent. So with that, I think I'm out of breath. I think I've talked a lot. I would love to open it up for questions. Nick, I'm going to pass it over to you to see if there are any questions out there.
I got a question for you. First one is, what do you recommend for organizing these analytics? And should I just have one document or just whiteboard it out?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm a big fan of whiteboards. So always be in a room with a whiteboard, because at any time there could be a conversation spawns off and you need to whiteboard things. However, for tracking over, week over week, I've done it a couple of ways. I had what's called, I'll just call it a leadership notebook. And literally that was the notebook that I took to every meeting, and I would turn the page and I would write the notes down as people went through their numbers. The other thing is you can just have an Excel document. I still think that even if you have an Excel document, have everybody put their numbers in there before the meeting. When you go to the meeting, you still should have a notebook. Have a notebook, write it down. When you write things, you remember them. There's something that happens psychologically when you write things down. So keep it on an Excel document so that you can remember it. That referencing these notes is really important so that you can track trends. But notebooks are helpful for just logging it in the brain.
Awesome. The next question is, does reorder alerts include those items that are on quotes?
Does reorder alerts include the items that are on? Yeah, you're saying quotes. That's what's called estimates in lieu. It's not going to have you pull a reorder alert, I don't believe, for what's on, or it's not going to pull a reorder alert for what's on an estimate. It should not, but we can double check. I'll grab your name, and I'm not in front of my computer right now, so I can't double check that, but we'll double check and I'll call you if I'm wrong on that.
All right, and then the last one I got here is, for service, is there a way to view the last month's job on a map? This would help us determine locations for service techs.
The last month's job on a map, it's not going to map it. The previous jobs aren't going to map for you on a map in lieu today. I'd love to chat more about you, just more about your business and understand that a little bit if that's something that we should consider. But it will map day to day. So you can, of course, pull up the map and you can see every day mapped out on there for all of the jobs. But it's not going to give you a month view on a map.
Awesome. That's everything we got.
Cool. Well, thanks, Nick. We did get a question from Sean about reorder alerts, and I wanted to answer that. So reorder alert, Sean, great opportunity for your purchasing team, your inventory team, something that definitely should be and can be used really well in lieu. It's under the warehouse tile. You go to inventory replenishment, and then from there, reorder alerts. And again, my advice on that is if you haven't set them up yet, start small. The approach that I would take and have taken in the past on reorder alerts is start with your top 20. What are the top 20 chemicals or parts that you sell as a company and you move through quickly? Start with putting in reorder alerts for all of those, and then monthly, try to add 10 more. What's really important with reorder alerts is that the information is up to date, and those trends don't change super regularly, but when they do change, it's important that you're considering that. So I always, in January or every year when you get slow, of course, hearth and pool and hot tub are going to be the opposite. So during your slow season, take a few days or so, take a day, sit in your conference room and update your reorder alerts to make sure that you're looking at the right information and you're ordering the right stuff. And you can create reorder alerts even down to a vehicle. So if you track inventory on your vehicles, you can have reorder alerts for your vehicles too, which I find to be sometimes the most impactful, because those are typically the ones that you're not putting eyes on regularly, and your service techs are so busy out there that sometimes they're not reporting what they need, but they're in a customer's backyard. I really hope they have what they need on their vehicle, because that's the easiest time to sell it to them is when you're at their home. I'm going to give you hopefully just a couple of minutes back to ideally go sit down, take these next 2 minutes and map out what your plan is. Did you hear a metric that you really want to track? Do you know how to find that information? So take that extra couple of minutes this morning and come up with a game plan. We have a couple of webinars coming up that I want to mention to you all. October 1st, we are doing a webinar with Heritage, going over all things with our new Heritage Lou integration. We'll show it to you all. We'll answer a bunch of questions. There will be a ton of people on the line, so join us for that one. And then on October 15th, sneak peek to Las Vegas, baby. We are going to the IPSP show in Las Vegas, as we do every year. And we have so many new exciting things coming down the hopper that we'll be showing to you. We'll be talking about. Join me with the CEO here in this room October 15th. And you can go to evisys.com/webinars and register for those if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. See you next month.